Hi, I'm Richie Castellano. Welcome to my studio. Today I'm playing through the Line 6 Catalyst 100. Big thanks to Line 6 for sending me this amp to check it out. I just played it in the jam you just heard, and the sound you're hearing is coming through this microphone. This is a 57 miking the speaker, going through an API preamp into Pro Tools. I'm not using the direct out on the back, although you can. It's got the modeled, speaker simulated output for going directly into a PA or recording interface. And I'm not using the room mic or anything. You're hearing everything through this 57 right now. So what is the Catalyst? The Catalyst is sort of like a super two-channel combo amp based on the HX family technology, the Helix, HX Stomp, all that stuff. Now, if you watch my channel, I do a lot of videos on the Helix. I'm a big Helix fan. I use that on the road. I use it in the studio. But quite a few comments on those videos say things like, it sounds good, but it's way too complicated for me. Well, if that's the case, then this amp was made for you, because you now get access to those tones in a very user-friendly and minimalist, when compared to the Helix, package. So it's quite possible to plug into this, turn some knobs, and go, where you can't really do that with more complicated devices. But this is designed to do that. I'm going to break this video up into a few different sections. One is going to be for people who just want to plug into an amp, turn a few knobs, and play. The second section is going to be for geeks like me, and how you can really get into the weeds with all the special functions and using the editing software, which is great. And I have a bonus section that I'm going to surprise you guys with at the end. I said before, this is a two-channel amp. It's a super two-channel amp because it's not just like having a combo amp that has one sound. There are 6 different styles of amps in here, and you can quickly go back between them. It also has built-in reverb, effects, boosts. There's a tuner even built into it. There's a lot of bells and whistles here, but it's tucked away unassumingly, so it basically looks and behaves like a regular combo amp. There are 6 banks in here, which give you a total of 12 presets. But I don't want you to get caught up with the presets and say, okay, no, I don't want presets. Don't think about it like that. There's A and B going back and forth between 2 sounds, and 6 different versions of that. If you want to access all 12 presets, you could with MIDI, but we're not getting into that today. So let's look at the top panel here, and I'll show you what we have. I'm going to go through this pretty fast. First, we have these channel A and B buttons, and this is pretty self-explanatory, channel A, channel B. But as you'll find with this amp, a lot of the knobs and buttons are multifunctional. We're going to go into that in the second part of this video in depth. But right now, we're going to keep this pretty simple. So channel A is channel A, channel B is channel B. We're going to start on manual mode. Manual mode is what you see is what you get. All these knobs just behave like a regular amp. The selector here lets you choose from one of 6 built-in amp types, and they all sound great, going from very clean to varying degrees of very dirty. So it goes from clean, a little dirty, a little dirtier, until you get to the high gain setting, which is, rip your face off. I'm going to start on the clean amp here. Now, let's talk about the controls. Here's what the clean amp sounds like with everything at noon and all the effects off. A very nice clean sound. Here you're going to see a boost knob. Now the boost knob isn't doing anything because this button is not engaged. Once I engage this button, this is going to activate a specifically selected boost model that is paired with this amp. Now, you might not want a boost for your clean, but it's nice to have it, so let's check it out. So that's if you want to get a little more grit out of the clean sound. We have a gain control. All this stuff is self-explanatory. It's stuff you would see on any guitar amp. Bass. And presence is a control that confuses some people. This is an upper EQ, high EQ control usually for power amp behaviors. But I like to think about this as like a, extra high harmonic boost kind of thing. Now we have channel volume. So there's two volume controls in this amp. Channel volume is how you're gonna level off your individual presets to make sure that when you go from A to B, one's not louder than the other, unless you want it to be. And then master is the overall volume of the amp. And this is just, so when you're at a gig, you'll be playing with this knob primarily. Okay, now we have two effect controls. So how do these work? Well, there are buttons above each of them. So if I just click this button, it turns on an effect. And then you can dial in the amount of the effect. There's also a reverb. Turn it on. And again, there are 6 flavors of reverbs, okay? So that's the clean. Here is the, what do they call this? Oh, boutique. This is actually my favorite model on the amp. We're going to cover that more in depth in a little bit because this is one of the 2 amps I'm going to use. And then next we have, I believe, Chime. And this, I think, is AC30 inspired. And as you can see, I'm not going into any menus. I'm just turning some knobs until I get a sound that I like. All right, now we have crunch. I can also change the tempo of the delays with this tap button here. Let's check out the boost over here on this. All right, now we have dynamic. Pretty nice. And last but not least, we have high gain. Let me start at noon again. So I want to program two sounds that I want to use, and I think the ones that are probably going to be most useful to me in a two-channel scenario are probably going to be boutique and high gain. So I want to take you through how I'm going to do that without going into any of the software, because I know some people don't like having to plug their amp into a USB device, even though with this you can also use an Android tablet or a phone or an iOS device if you have the USB adapter. So that's pretty handy on gigs. But right now for this section of the video, I'm just going to work on the two tones that I want. So let's go back over here to boutique. So I want this to be kind of dirty, but definitely to have enough room for me to back things off and play sort of clean. You know, one of those sounds. Oh, and if anybody's wondering, on the back of the amp, there's a switch to go through 3 different wattage settings. I believe it's 100, 50, and 5. I'm on 50 for this amp, for this video today. I'm going to give this some boost. So I think that's pretty good, and I got that pretty quick. So basically, if I turn the volume down, I can get a clean sound. If I turn it up, and then if I engage the boost here, I can get a pretty decent lead sound. Meaning enough gain to do what I gotta do. And this is actually the model I used in the opening song that I did. I'm very happy with that. Let's talk about effects. So right now, this is what is on here. That actually sounds okay. If I wanted to try a different effect or a different type of delay, right now, Line 6 has a color coding system, and green is delay, blue is modulation, and blue is modulation, purple is pitch. So you can go through the different types of effects, and I'll show you how to do that. If you want to, say, use a modulation effect here, you hold this down, the effect select button, for 2 seconds, and then you can use the tap button to switch through the 3 categories. So here's the delay category, here's the modulation category, and here is the pitch category. Let's go to the modulation category, and I'll hit it again to confirm. So that's a chorus. Now, if you want to go through the different types of effects within each category, what you do is you hold this down again, and now you use the selector to switch to the different types. So it went from a chorus to tremolo, phaser, flanger, a vibe, and a Leslie. And let's hear the pitch effects while we're at it. So now I'm going to hold this down again, change to purple. We have an octave. Let's see what else we got. Growler. pitch harmony. And pitch shift. Fuzz. And then we have synth string. So you have a lot of different options for different kinds of effects. Although I think for my purposes, I'm just going to use delays because that's usually what I use live. So I'm going to hit the effect select button until it lights up. I'll hold it down, hit tap until it goes green, and hit it again to confirm. Now that might be too much of a clean delay. I kind of like one that's a little dirtier sounding. So again, I'm going to hold this down. And now I'm going to... Yeah, that's what I like. So let me go through the delays really quickly. The first one was the clean, simple delay. The second one is the vintage digital, which I love. The third one is the transistor tape, which is the one I want to use. Then there's the Adriatic delay. Sounds cool. And the dual delay, which is pretty awesome. And here's a ducking delay. So I'm going to bring this back to the transistor tape. And I'll bring the effect level down. So I'm a little out of tune right now, so if you want to tune up, there's a nice built-in tuner here if you hold in the tap. And then you tune it by using the two LEDs on the effect buttons. So when you get a solid green on both of them, you're in tune. I want a bit of a slower delay here, so I'm going to just... There we go. Nice. Maybe I'll have a little bit of reverb, so let's turn some reverb on. Okay, that to me sounds like the reverb is going into the front of the amp, and I don't want that. I like the reverb to come after the amp, for it to be a post effect. So right now you're probably rolling your eyes thinking, oh God, I gotta turn the computer on, I gotta plug in the USB. No, it's very simple to do right from the panel here. So on both the effect and the reverb, to make something pre versus post, all you do is you hold down the selection button, and when it's before the middle, here, it's pre. When it's after 12 o'clock, it's post. So now I just made the reverb post. And that sounds much better. So while we're here, let's go over the different reverb types. I'm going to hold this down. Okay. So here's the spring. Here's hall. Here's plate. Here's chamber. Here's plateau. Ooh. And here's Ganymede. I'll probably stick to spring for this one. So we're on spring, confirm it. I don't use much reverb. There we go. So let's say that's the sound I want to use. Make it a little brighter. So now I have a sound that I'm happy with, and I want to save it. I want to make sure that this sound is not going to go away. Okay, the way we do that is basically you just hold down the channel A button. And the blink confirms it. So now I could screw up whatever I want to screw up here. Right? If I hit A, it goes right back to where I was. So that's my A channel sound, my kind of gritty boutique sound. Now I need my kill sound, and this is going to be what I'm going to do for channel B. I'm going to go high gain. I'm going to go back to manual mode. I'm going to switch this to high gain and turn the boost off. And the way I like to set stuff like this is I'm going to turn everything down and see what it sounds like. So obviously it sounds like it has a cold because I have all the EQs off. Now the high gain model in here behaves, in my opinion, it behaves the way a Marshall behaves, where there's a lot of top end with the treble control. So you got to be careful with that, because the way I set up a Marshall is I usually turn the treble almost all the way down. So let's see what these controls are doing. That's a lot of bass. It's good. So I might rely on presence instead of treble here. It's getting there. Yeah, that's pretty good. Now, another thing that looks like it's on this one already, but if you run into this problem, noise, and you want to put a noise gate on, it's very easy to do without having to go into the software. All you do is you hold down the boost control, and if you're before noon, it's off. If you're after noon, it's on. That works for me. So I'm out of curiosity, I want to hear what the boost is going to do. So the boost is cool. It makes it easier to play, and that's certainly there for you, but I think I'm going to leave it off because I think this is more than enough gain, and I'm not even maxed out on the gain control. Yeah, and there's plenty more if I need it. And yeah, it's beefy sound. There's plenty of treble if I need it. So yeah, let's talk about the effects now. I might try a different delay this time. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with the vintage digital. So I'm going to hold this down. Good, and back off one. Now we're at vintage digital. Yeah, and I don't use reverb on my lead sounds. So now I want to save this. I'm happy with it. So I'm going to hold down the channel B button. And there you go. So now I want to use my, I'll go back to channel A for a second. Back to B. All right, now with the channel volume, I can level match them. Actually, they're pretty level matched already, but if I wanted to, all I have to do is change the channel volume and then save again. Now, I have the optional foot switch over here. With this, I can toggle between my A channel and my B channel. And I could turn the delay on and off. So that's it. I made my A and B sounds without plugging a computer in. It's pretty easy. I just turned the knobs until I found sounds that I liked, and I stored them by holding down either A or B. And now I can go back and forth between two pretty radically different sounds just by hitting the button here or using the optional foot switch. Now, if you do want more than two sounds, remember there are 6 banks here. And to switch between the banks, it's pretty simple. Just hold down the manual button and then you can switch banks by using the selector. But I'm going to stick to my first bank. So we pretty much just plugged into this amp, turned some knobs, and saved 2 really great, useful tones without having to go into the computer. So that's very powerful and exactly what a lot of you guys have been asking for from an HX product, and this will do that. But if you're like me and you like getting into the details and the minutiae of the different parameters, then Catalyst Edit is for you. That's when you plug this into a computer or an Android or iOS device. Right now I have this up on my computer and I'm going to get into all the parameters. So if we go through this app, and it's a free app, you basically see everything that's on the amp, but you also see more. So here's the top panel. And if I change something right now on the amp, you'll see it reflected, on the top panel. So there you go. See, I'm changing the bass control. Ooh, look at that. Okay. So, but you'll also see more. You'll see the different effect types. You can quickly change pre and post. You don't have to do the hold down the selector switch. It's much faster here, but it's just as easy on the amp. But this is, I like the visual, being able to see everything at once. You can turn the noise gate on over here. You have the advanced amp parameters, which you'll notice if you're a Helix or, HX Stomp user. You have the sag, hum, bias X, all that stuff. This is a section for the direct out, which we're not talking about in this video. Here are the parameters that I really want to deal with, especially on the delay. So this is stuff you can't really access from the amp, and that's what makes Catalyst Edit pretty awesome. So for example, on my A sound here, which sounds awesome, that feedback is probably longer than I'd like. It's fine, but if I really had the power to change it, I would make that feedback lower. So I'm going to do that right here. I'll bring it down to like 20% maybe. All right. There you go. That's better. So now I'm happy with the tone. I want to save it. Now you can save it here like I did before just by holding the button down. But if I want to keep a library of tones and even go beyond the 12 presets that I can save in here, I can have hundreds of presets saved on my computer and swap them out depending on what gig I'm doing. So to do that, I'm going to first name this. So we'll name this Richie Cat for Catalyst Grit. And I'll save it by clicking this guitar icon here. And I'll save the current preset to the Catalyst 100. And I want it to A, and I'll hit save. There we go. Preset succeeded. I'll do the same thing with my B sound, which if you look here is just called default. We don't need default. It's not helping anybody. So we'll call this Richie Cat Lead. And I'll save this as well. Save current preset to Catalyst. And that's going to go to B, bank 1. Great. You can also access the rest of the banks here pretty easily just by holding down this one. You can get to all 6 banks. If you want to save these presets to your computer, you just hold this down and hit Save Current Preset to File. I'm going to do that, and I'm going to make these 2 presets available on the custom tone site. I'll put a link below to that. So really, you can get pretty detailed with this and have a nice library for different types of gigs. I promised you guys a bonus section at the end of this video, and there was something I was really curious about for the Chime amp. So there's my little bonus section. That's my Red Special Brian May inspired sound. So to get the sound, it's the Chime model with the boost engaged and dimed. The gain is dimed. All the EQ controls here are sort of on like 2 or 3. That seemed to work with this particular sound. A healthy amount of volume, and I'm using the Phase 90. So that will also be available at the Custom Tone site, and I'll put the link below. So that's my demo of the Line 6 Catalyst 100. I'd like to thank Line 6 for making this amp available for me to try out and to show you guys. I think it's really cool. And if you're someone who wants access to all the fun Helix toys, amps, and effects, but you don't want to do all the, menu diving and all that stuff, this is a great option for you. It's lightweight, it's loud, it's great for gigs, and I suggest you check it out. Thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.